Today, I want to talk about the thing that everyone wants, probably more than anything else, but so few people actually get to have happiness. Not the fleeting kind that comes in a moment or on vacation or when the stars and planets magically align. I'm talking about the kind of happiness that you wake up with every day, the kind of happiness that fuels your success in every area of your life: relationship, business, health. See, the reason that this kind of happiness eludes most people is that they're living by happiness's biggest myth. And that's exactly what we're busting open today. Welcome, my friends, to another Catalyst conversation in the relationship revolution. Here, we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, life, and leadership, disrupt the patterns that have been keeping you stuck, and reveal the truths that no one has taught you. Here, we activate a new way of leading relationships consciously, courageously, differently, and dare I say, better, so that you can have the relationships, the life, the happiness that most people only dream of. I am so glad that you're here. You ready? Let's get into this. So, today is episode 5 of our May Myths series. It's our final episode in this series. And this is a series that is dedicated specifically to blowing up the stories, the beliefs, the operating systems that most people, including us high achieving women, have been running on without realizing how much they're actually costing us. See, the women that I attract into my work are smart, self-aware, highly capable, and still somehow stuck in their lives. And it's not because they haven't tried. It's not even necessarily because they don't know better. It's because somewhere along the way, we have internalized a story about how life, love, success, and happiness are supposed to work. And that story, these myths, have been quietly running the show and sabotaging all of what we desire ever since. And so today, I want to go after one of the biggest myths out there: happiness. And I have exactly the right person to help us do it. I'm so excited for this conversation and for you to meet her. But before I bring her in, let me take a moment to introduce myself for those of you who are new to me and this work. My name is Dr. Jeni Wahlig. I am an award-winning relationship mentor, speaker, author, educator, intuitive guide, and relationship revolutionary. My mission is to revolutionize how we think about and go about our relationships and to redefine what it means to love so that we may all experience the true power and potential that our relationships have to offer. Because nothing, truly nothing, impacts the quality of our lives more than the quality of our relationships. And our relationships are everywhere, happening all the time in every corner of our lives. In fact, they are the infrastructure upon which everything else we try to build everything else. Yet most of us never learn how to do relationships well, including our relationship with ourselves, let alone how to lead our relationships consciously or relationally. And much of what we have learned not only doesn't work for us, it actually keeps us stuck and unhappy. So this revolution that I'm talking about is a great global healing through love. It is a return from separation into wholeness, a paradigm shift in the way humanity relates, loves, and leads, starting at the most intimate level. And in these Catalyst conversations, my goal isn't just to give you insight, it is to wake something up in you, love, so that you can revolutionize your life, your relationships too. Now, let me introduce my amazing guest today, one of my favorite people, Christy Holt. Christy is the owner of 2 divorces and 0 apologies. She calls herself the Happiness Hussy, and for good reason. She is here to completely ruin your comfortable relationship with pretending everything is fine. Through her books, her podcast, and her no-holds-barred honesty, she helps women stop performing happiness and start actually feeling it in their real lives, not just their personal development journals. Christy, welcome to Catalyst Conversations for a Relationship Revolution. I'm so glad that you are here with us today.
Yay! Thank you, Jeni. I'm super excited to share this conversation with you and just bust this myth wide open so that the listeners can actually start experiencing more of the happiness that they absolutely deserve.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent. So, okay, but before we go dive into the myth, I have a question I want to start us with.
All right.
So, most of the women who listen to this show are high achieving, deeply self aware, often already doing like the work, the mindset work, the reading, the personal development, the healing work. And yet, so many of them are still in this quiet sense of like chasing something more, this unease, unfulfillment, unhappiness, like this version of happiness or success or relationship that they're looking for that'll finally feel right is just around the corner. And I want to open by saying, like, what would you say to the woman who is doing everything right and still feels like something is missing?
I mean, first of all, how very freaking human, right?
Yes.
I don't know about you, Jeni, but I wholeheartedly have experienced that over and over and over in my life. And I think that's because as humans, we're designed to have desires, right?
Yes.
We're designed to want more. We're designed to go after and create amazing lives for ourselves. And there's this interesting dynamic. And I don't know if it's partially conditioning and probably has to do a lot with the separation that you touched on, and that feeling like something's missing or broken or like we're not quite whole. And I think that really plays into this desire for more, because a lot of us feel like, and I don't know, it seems like a strange paradox, but so many women that I've spoken to have had this experience of feeling both too much and simultaneously not enough. So how are we supposed to reconcile that? We go on this endless chase to fix ourselves, to better ourselves, to improve ourselves, and we end up on this hamster wheel chasing the answers. Right? Trying to fulfill what we feel like is missing or broken or needs, something else to get us there. And oh my God, it's so exhausting.
It is so exhausting. I love that metaphor of the hamster wheel, because that's really what it feels like. Like we're going and going and going and working and working and working and trying and trying and trying, and we're getting fucking nowhere.
Yeah. And I feel like the whole coaching and self-improvement and self-development and healing industries, they survive on you staying on the hamster wheel. Right? A lot of this business out there thrives on telling you that you're broken, that you're stuck, there's something wrong with you, that you need fixing, that it's a long journey. And that part's not totally wrong, right? Because there are two pieces to the journey. There's one sort of like this aha moment of realizing, maybe I've been looking in the wrong places. Maybe I've been focusing on the wrong things. And once you see the truth of where that happiness truly lies, then there can be a bit of an integration period, because we've been doing this. We've been on the treadmill, hamster wheel, whatever, the roller coaster of life, trying to figure this shit out. And we're just going in circles.
Yeah.
And so when we want to shift that, just like changing any mindset or belief, we have to practice, we have to unlearn, and we have to then integrate before we can embody that new knowledge, that new wisdom, that new awareness of, holy shit, I might have been chasing down the wrong tree or whatever, barking up the wrong tree, whatever metaphor you want, looking in the wrong fucking place.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that is the part that can take some time. I often talk to my clients about any process of change taking first intention, which requires our awareness, right? Knowing what it is that we're going to change and deciding that we're going to change it, and then paying attention to whether we are doing those new patterns, reinforcing those new patterns, and then practicing, because really we're creating new neural pathways.
Yeah.
to be able to experience our lives differently.
Yeah.
Yet, like, you have to start by recognizing that your disconnection from happiness is not because you are broken, is not because
Right.
you need something else that someone else is gonna provide
A
you.
guru or a fancy healer
Yeah,
outside of
right,
yourself.
right.
The marketing is so much focused on that. And I feel like sometimes that's why maybe the people who really truly get it, their marketing, they're not going to bullshit you. They're not going to tell you you're fucking broken so that you will buy their shit.
Yep.
And then that doesn't play into this deep-seated fear,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Because we're telling you that you're already whole, that you don't need fixing, that the healing isn't it's not what you think it is, right?
yes.
It's not this journey of like endless fixing and constant betterment and improvement. It's actually none of that. But the
Mm,
marketing is so powerful out there. People call it like the bro marketing or whatever, this like pain point, like this is wrong and this is terrible and and I have the answers,
mhm,
right? And I see it completely differently, which I, if I'm really honest and if I'm a bit vulnerable, I find my message is very hard to get through all that noise, right?
mhm,
But it is actually the pathway to seeing the truth of who you are and how to achieve exactly what it is that you desire to achieve and feel and experience as a human doing this this wild ride called human life, right?
yes, yes. Yes, and so okay, so before we get into, like, what that pathway is,
Yeah.
you have been through 2 divorces. I I'm in the same boat. I've been through 2 divorces as well. Um, and so you've learned from lived experience. You've
Yeah.
been on that healing hamster wheel
Oh,
yourself, right?
I sure
And
have.
so how like, what was the moment or the slow realization that made you realize, like, "Hey, I'm not broken, that the happiness I'm looking for isn't actually a solution someone else can give or, something that I thought it was." Like, what cracked that open for you?
Yeah, honestly, it was mainly my second marriage
Mhm,
where I found myself like, listen, I've always been a pretty, glass half full, silver lining, positive, happy person. And in
mhm.
my second marriage, I really found myself struggling. Like, the kind of anxiety that grips you before your feet hit the floor in the morning about just what the fuck is this day going to look like? And my
Yeah.
marriage was not, it was not in a good situation. I I felt too much and not enough simultaneously at the same time. And I was trying to figure like, how
Mhm,
the fuck do I make this work when
mhm.
nothing I seem to do it seems to be right in this situation? And I
Yeah.
was, oh my God, I was reading so many books. I love to read and I still love to read. So I'm not knocking reading. I do think there is definitely a lot of benefit to reading self-development books and learning to understand who you are, because at the core of things, you know who you believe yourself to be has a huge impact on
Yes.
how things play out around you, because everything is mirroring back to you, right? From what seems external, it's mirroring back to you what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this relationship, I'm telling you what, it's not mirroring back anything that I want it to be mirroring back. And I'm trying, right? I
Yep.
feel like I'm putting everything within me into fixing this situation.
Mhm.
And I realized at some point that I had really gone off on a side track of being like, well, I'm doing everything and he's not changing.
I think that's
And
probably relatable for a lot of women.
I assume so. You're like, it's him. It's not
Mhm,
me. I'm obviously doing the things and I'm trying here.
mhm.
And he's not. And so I found myself so many times complaining about him and blaming him for the situation. And let me back up and say that it was a very toxic situation. Some of it was very valid.
Sure.
Right? So if
Yep.
you're in a toxic situation, you're like, well, my partner is abusive. That's valid. I'm not discounting that in any way,
Mhm.
shape, or form. But what I will step in to say is you do not fucking deserve that.
Yes.
Okay. You can love someone and respect someone and not tolerate being mistreated.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the programming that we've had are misinformation about what love looks like, right? And
100%.
if we haven't grown up seeing healthy relationship dynamics,
Mhm.
it's probably not your fault that you just don't know yet what that can and should look like and what you deserve for that to look like in your world.
Yeah.
And so, okay, back to the main point here is I'm in this relationship. I'm like, I'm complaining, I'm blaming, I'm anxious as hell on the other side. I'm trying to fix myself and what's wrong with me and why can't I make this work? And I have this holy shit come to Jesus moment, if you will, where I realize I'm the common denominator. Like it literally hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, oh shit, every single one of my problems, I am involved.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, for about like a minute or two, maybe a little longer than that, I was shooketh. Okay. I was like, oh dang. Oh shit. I have been looped in to all of these problems. And instead of focusing on the solution, the legitimate solution, I was focused on something I could not control, which kept me in the loop, right? I'm looking at
Yes.
him. I'm looking at, the outside circumstances of like, why aren't those people helping me? And why is he this and that? I forgot to look at myself. I was so wrapped up in that until I had this moment where I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I sat with it. And it's easy to go into a guilt or shame spiral here. And it's very important that if you do happen to have this realization that you don't do that, because that's not helpful or productive. And it's not your fault.
Yes.
Because what I told myself in that moment was, I've been doing the best that I could.
100%.
With the resources and understanding that I had.
Yes.
If I could have chosen something differently or made this realization earlier or done something differently in the past, you know what, I would have, right? We're not here intentionally making these mistakes. It's just that in that moment, that seems like the best choice, right? It seems like sometimes the only choice.
Yes.
And so we do the best that we can. And so beating ourselves up for like, oh, I should have known better. I should have done this differently. I made a mistake. That's not helpful or productive. And the truth is, no. You're just now looking back in hindsight and you have more information. You may have more tools. You may have a broader understanding. It's like when we see a pattern, right? We finally see like, oh shit, I've been doing this. I've been looping into this. And we think like, oh my God, I should have known better. It's not the first time I recognize that there's this thing that I'm doing. Right? It's not the first, toxic relationship I've been in. Anyone out there? It's not the first time I've abandoned myself to try and get someone to like me. But when we're seeing it and we're starting to recognize it, there's a moment there where you can say, well, hold on a minute, because I'm not the same as I was then. Now I'm seeing this. And actually that moment of seeing, oh my gosh, there's this pattern and I keep finding myself looping back into it. That's actually a really powerful moment because now you're fully aware. You can see, now you have more information, right? You can choose to move forward differently. And it's getting off of that hamster wheel in action, right? Because now you're like, well, wait a minute. Maybe there's actually not something wrong with me. I've been doing the best that I can. I've been making decisions and choices based on what I thought was best, given all of that. And now I see there are different choices and options and decisions available to me, right? And so you can move forward instead of trying to fix and broken and shame yourself and guilt yourself into somehow, I don't know why we think that, like it's conditioning, obviously, that we think like, well, I'll just shame myself and I'll improve. No, that doesn't work.
No, it actually makes it harder.
Actually made that work. No, you can now look back at that pattern and be like, no, that actually just makes me feel like shit. It never makes me feel happy. It never makes me feel whole or loved or, appreciated for who I am. It just makes me feel small and worthless and like shit. So when you start seeing that, which is what I did in that moment, like, oh my gosh, I'm operating from this small place of too much, not enough, not valuable, not really loved. And the reality was that wasn't true. None of it.
Yeah. What a profound and relatable story.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was a catalyst in recognizing and what that this myth of happiness is playing out for you and what was actually true about it.
Yeah.
So let's pull back the curtain. First of all, what is the biggest myth about happiness? And what's the truth that you want women to hear and understand?
Yeah, I think, the biggest myth that we have all bought into at some point because it's so pervasive in our conditioning is that happiness comes from outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
right? We think that we'll just be happy if we have the perfect relationship, or our kids respect and listen to us and do what we say, or
Mhm.
we have the right job, or we have the house with the white picket fence, or we have the 2.5 perfect children, or whatever the
Yep.
hell it is. First of
Yep.
all, I want to back that up and say a lot of the times that what we think that is isn't even what we want. And so that is a
Yep.
huge part of the problem, because we
Mhm.
end up chasing what society told us will make us happy. And,
Yep.
well, no, the fuck it won't, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
that's absolutely not it. So the first piece is chasing things out there,
Right.
right? Believing that happiness is somewhere out there to achieve, to
Mhm.
attain, to chase after, and then finally win.
Mhm.
That's not how it happens
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And the second piece is not knowing for ourselves what it is we truly desire, because we
Mm.
have gone through life conditioned by the world as soon as we're old enough to understand, by our parents. And whether you have amazing parents or maybe you had not the greatest parents to direct you, you had to adapt yourself for survival.
Yeah.
Whether you had the most amazing parents in the world or maybe you had not so great, you adapted yourself.
Absolutely.
Because as a young child, growing up, we need to survive and we can't do
Mhm.
that on our own. And
Mhm.
so, in order to remain alive, we need to please the people who will keep us alive,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So we end up doing everything in our power, and may it be small things, maybe like really big things, to
Mhm.
adapt ourselves in order to keep the people around us happy.
Mhm.
And what that does is that gives all of your power away to other people. And we end up as adults, then we can recognize people pleasing patterns, overgiving, lack of being able to set boundaries, all
Mhm.
of these lack of being able to receive. It's
Mhm.
all really looped into a lot of these patterns that have just been playing out.
Yep.
And the problem with that is people pleasing. And I'm going to say something that might possibly trigger slash activate someone out there. It's a form of manipulation. Now, I
It
don't
is.
mean that you're an asshole and that you're trying to like be toxic, but it's actually toxic for you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't create the dynamic that you're actually desiring. Let me
Mhm.
tell you why. Because if you're pleasing other people and you're shrinking as yourself, you're abandoning, you're contorting,
Yep.
you're trying to do whatever you have to get that person to like you,
Mhm.
there's going to be a gap between them liking this version of you
Right.
and you feeling like, if they actually knew me, though, I'm afraid they wouldn't still like me.
Yes.
And so in that gap, there's this space of sort of inauthenticity. And
Mhm.
it's not even so much that you're like trying to be, completely disingenuous. It's just that in order to get these desired outcomes, you're playing into what you think other people want of you instead of what you want of and for you.
Yeah.
And so when you're not being fully authentically you, and sometimes that's something that you don't even know who that is. In my
Mhm.
second marriage, that was another piece of the puzzle. Like, I want to say that aha, like, oh my God, it's me, changed everything. And I got divorced right away and everything was perfect. It didn't go like that. There were
Mhm.
many steps to the process. That was like, oh shit, it's me. Okay, let me start looking at me.
Right.
Right. And then there was this sort of self-discovery process, this inquiry into like, well, wait a minute, who am I? Because I
Mhm.
found myself around
Mhm.
that time being like, I'm a mother and I'm like this wife and this not great situation, but like, who's Christy?
Mhm.
I don't know anymore, right?
Yeah.
I kind of lost track of like who I was, what I really truly desired for myself without taking into account what does
Mhm.
everybody else around me need and want first.
Mhm.
And so, that was a huge piece of it, really discovering what it was that
Yeah.
I truly wanted. Never mind society, never mind my ex-husband, never mind the children's needs, just for a fucking minute. I
Mhm.
needed to reflect and think like, what is it that I want to create? I get this one life, this one precious life that, honest to God, the older I get, I'm 47 now, and I feel like it's like zooming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Seriously.
it's going so freaking fast. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I have this one opportunity right here to create a life that's like incredible, that has epic adventures and feels fulfilling and really builds on this basis of happiness. And to finish off this whole thought of all of these pieces and the myth of happiness, the myth is that it's not out there, it's in here, and it's actually who you always were.
Mm.
It's just that. There's foggy shit
Yeah.
blocking your view, right? The idea that you're broken, the idea that you need to get better, the idea that something out there is going to help fill the hole in your heart. It's an
Mhm.
illusion. You're not separate from happiness. You are that. And you
Mhm.
can exchange happiness for peace, love, joy.
Yeah.
Okay. Any of those words work here. Bliss,
Yeah.
this inner knowing, just your wholeness, and however that feels to you, because words are just labels. And
Mhm.
we each attach different meanings to different words. And so let go of the labels, but just that wholeness, knowing that you're not apart from what it is that you desire, that makes you feel just like so good and warm and tingly.
Mhm.
You're not apart from that. I'm
Mhm.
just distracted from the truth underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful. And I want to like dig into this a little bit, because part of what you're talking about, which is so important, I think, especially for women, um, well, although all of us disconnect from in our culture, disconnect from like who we really are, what we really want. But I think it happens even more so for women.
Yeah.
Um, and part of what you're
Totally.
saying is how important it is for us to get back in touch with
Yeah.
who am I and what do I want? Like, what do I want to create in this one precious life? What
Yeah.
brings me joy and fulfillment? What does that even look like for me? Not for anybody else, but
Yeah.
for me. And and as you were talking and like, transitioning into, and I already am that happiness, that joy, that love. There was a part of me I noticed that felt some dissonance. Like,
Mhm.
well, if I know what I want, and what I want, for example, is an adventurous life, but to have an adventurous life, I need enough money to be able to have all of those adventures,
Are you
and
talking to
then
me?
right.
I feel that.
And then but then how do I get the money? Because isn't the money an external thing? And so if being happy is connecting to what I really want, but really what I really want is something external to me, there's a disconnect. So can you help bridge that for us, Christy? Like,
Yeah.
how does being, or like connecting to our own enoughness, the truth of who we are, how does that get us to what we really want?
Yeah. I mean, that is the eternal question, I think, right? That most
Yep.
humans are grappling with. And I don't proclaim to have all of the answers, because I know everyone's journey is a little bit different. But what I
Mhm.
can say and from my own personal experience, is that when you're thinking that, and oh my God, like, you're literally speaking to me, I want to travel everywhere, and I need like a bajillion dollars to travel all the places that I want to go. So I'm like, oh shit, girl, you talking right to my soul with that one.
Me too, girl. Me too.
And if I hang on this wanting,
Mhm.
the money, and it's not about the money for me, right? I see that you're saying that's the means to the end.
Right.
And so really, I'm kind of wanting the money, But really what I'm truly desiring is the adventure, the freedom, the opportunities, the outcomes that money can give me. And I think we often, because this is a bullshit patriarchal capitalist system,
Yep.
we get so stuck on, and it sucks, because in order to merely survive in this human life, we need the money.
Right.
And so for me, this is actually something I'm still unpacking, because we do live in this system, and there is no easy answer. Like, you can't just be like, well, it doesn't matter, I don't need the money anyway. You do. Right? And so there is this piece where you do still need the money.
Mm-hmm.
And if we focus on what we don't have, if we focus on the lack piece, and actually listened to a podcast recently that talked about this, that flipped this a little bit for me. And I was like, oh shit, that's actually brilliant. We are really, lack and abundance are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can focus on the lack of something, and then we can still end up having the abundance of, I don't have enough money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we end up having this feeling like it's an abundant feeling of, I don't have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
And so where we focus our energy into what it is we want, that's what we're going to experience. So if we're focused on, I don't have enough money to do the things that I want to do, and I will tell you firsthand, oh my gosh, this one gets me. Okay. Yeah. I'm just like you out there. It gets me where I'm like, damn it. Like, I really want to go to Bali, but I don't have $10,000 or $20,000 to go to Bali. So like, now I just want the money so that I can do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The more I stay in wanting the money to do the thing, you know what I experience? Fucking wanting.
Yeah. And the unhappiness, because you're not there yet.
It creates separation from the actual feeling and outcome that I desire, right? Which then means, well, I'm not whole. I don't have it. I lack something. There's something missing. Maybe there's something wrong with me that I can't get there. No. Yeah. You're focused on the wrong thing. You're chasing, again, that external thing. Yeah. So let's make this really practical. You're like, okay, well then what then? Right? Well, what is the outcome that you desire? In this case, it's adventure. It's connection for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking for myself. Mm-hmm. Do I need to go to Bali to experience adventure and connection? Mm-hmm. Probably not. Can I experience adventure and connection right here in my backyard in some other smaller way until situations align that happens? Yes. Abso-fucking-lutely. And let's see. I can be like, oh, I don't have what I want. Or I can be like, well, I have this version of what I want. I can create this version for myself simply by focusing on what mini adventure can I have today? Yeah. Right. And so by shifting how we are internally feeling, the experiences we are internally creating, just by focusing our thoughts and our energy and our intention, deciding to do something that feels like the outcomes we want, even if it's tiny. Maybe it's like, oh my God, let's go to Starbucks and have a little adventure and like order a coffee I haven't had before. Mm-hmm. We can create it in small ways. Yes. And then we can experience that outcome that we desire. And well, I guess you need money to go to Starbucks, but you get what I'm saying. It's less money than Bali. Yeah. It may be more within reach. And so that puts the focus, instead of out there, it brings it inward. Mm-hmm. And the more you're focused on inward of like, I already have these experiences. It literally could be an example. I was just saying like, oh my God, like I love me an ocean sunset. Like it is one of my favorite things in life. But I neither have like, the $1,000 or whatever to go to the ocean, and it's 16-hour drive and gas is crazy, right? And all of these things. And I'm very far from an ocean sunset right now. That's not accessible. But can I close my eyes and imagine an ocean sunset? Can I look at videos I've taken? Can I look at reels on the internet or videos on the internet about places? Can I watch travel videos? They're walking tours of places I want to go, so that I can get in the energy of like, wow, what it would be like to go and walk those cobblestone streets. These are things that we can do that are a much better use of our energy than saying like, oh, well, I can't go because I don't have the money to go. And again, see, you notice it wasn't ever about the money. Mm-hmm. Once you got those survival needs, it's not about the money. Mm-hmm. It's about what do I want to create? Yeah. And by focusing inward, then you realize like, I have everything within me to experience the happiness I want now. Yes. And easier said than done, I fully recognize, right? My first book was about stopping the spiral, because the invitations to come in and buy into the stories of I don't have enough and I can't have what I want, this isn't good enough, or I'm not good enough, they're very inviting, right? They're very compelling.
Yes.
And you have opportunities at every moment to sit back and witness those invitations and say, no, thank you. Right? I'm going to choose actually to watch a sunset video on my phone and just imagine like I'm there again. And then I get to feel what I want to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I heard recently that it takes about 7 layers of the question why to tap into like what it is that's underneath what it is that we want or we think that we want. Like, why do we want to go to Bali for adventure? Why do I want adventure for whatever, right? But I'm going to shortcut everybody. The answer is happiness.
Let's just cut right to the chase.
Right? Like the answer is because how it's going to make me feel.
Exactly.
It's going to make me feel fulfilled, alive, empowered, in love, connected to nature, connected to God, right? Like we want what we want because of how we think it's going to make it feel. And what you're speaking to, Christy, is recognizing that if the things that we desire outside of us that we think that we can't get, if the reason for it is because of how it's going to make us feel, which is good, feel good.
Perfect. It's amazing that we have this ability to sense that desire within us.
Yes. And like, and as we move through this life, we have the choice to stay in feeling not good because we don't have this thing that we think we want, or find ways to feel good now or connect to that feeling we ultimately want, that feeling of love, that feeling of peace and awe that comes from an ocean sunset, that feeling of happiness and joy that comes from laughter and connection and the best day ever, right? Like we can connect to that at any time through the intention and attention and then the practicing of it. And I got to tell you, like, I've been doing this work now for about 5 years, and it gets easier the more you practice it. It gets easier and easier to connect to those internal states of being, regardless of your external circumstances. And when you can start moving through your life like that, regardless of what's happening outside you, and you know you have the power to connect to those feel-good states, to connect to your happiness and joy, to be in the frequency of who you really are, right? Happiness, joy.
You
love.
are that.
Exactly. Then you're moving through life. Your whole life experience gets elevated. And the magical thing that I don't hear enough people talking about is that we are a lot more likely to get the external things that we're looking for when the internal state is aligned first.
Absolutely. And I have a little story to share on that note, because I didn't realize it until I experienced that specifically for myself. And I think that the more we stay in the wanting and the desiring, we continue to experience. It's like when you have a vacation coming up. And it's so exciting. You're planning for it. You're anticipating it. And then the vacation happens. And then it's like, oh, because you know what? The wanting and the desiring and the anticipating was actually the most adrenaline boosting part of it all. Right.
Yeah.
And so it can dupe us into thinking, well, if I just want this thing. And then we kind of stay in this like adrenaline, dopamine hit kind of state of like wanting and desiring, but never quite getting there. And so what happened for me, the story that I want to share about this, is that when I was separated from my second husband, and I was working with a therapist, and this is probably going to hit for some people listening, because I was working with her and she asked me, this also ties to what we spoke about earlier, what does Christy want? We were speaking specifically in the context of a relationship in this case, but this could apply obviously broadly, because everything truly is a relationship. Okay. So, take my story and broaden it and focus it into whatever area fits. What does Christy want? And I was like, well, I know what I don't want. Anybody else out there know what the fuck they do not want? I have a hard damn time clarifying, well, what do I actually want?
Mm.
And sometimes it's not quite as simple as flipping it around, because it's like, of course, like, I don't want someone who yells at me. Okay.
Mhm.
This was one of my things. And she's like, well, what does that like? Okay. You don't want someone who yells at you. Great. So what does that communication look like then? And I was like, it took me some time to get there, because I was so focused on what I did not want. I didn't want yelling. I didn't want someone to swear at me. I didn't want someone who didn't respect me. I didn't want someone who wouldn't listen to me, who would like flip things around or make me feel bad about myself. Like, I had this list of things.
Yeah.
And thankfully, oh my gosh, she was able to help me, like, by asking me, like, well, okay, so if you don't want these things, maybe you want someone who actually makes you feel heard. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Maybe you want someone who will laugh with you. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I absolutely do. Someone who gets my humor and loves to laugh and have a good time. And maybe someone who is like willing to have deep and difficult conversations while holding respect and love and kindness. Oh my God, yes, these are all the things that I want. And so, unlike people out there, they're like, well, I want someone who's 6'5" and the jawline and like in finance or whatever. I don't know what people are wanting. Someone who will provide them this like picture perfect life, right? Of the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence bullshit. Instead of that storyline of I'm looking for someone with 6-pack and whatever, I didn't give a shit about that. I was like, listen, I would literally live in a fucking cardboard box if I could have a partner who, like, I felt genuinely connected to, that I felt genuinely safe, seen, heard, valued, and truly loved for who I am, instead of having to contort myself and bend over backwards.
Yeah.
And so I got clear. What does that relationship look like for me? And then I resumed. Well, okay. And I will say one of the challenges that I had in getting there was I didn't think that my current partner could be any of that. And so I think part of my resistance to flipping it around and figuring out what that was like, well, I don't think he can be that. And so if I say that I deserve or want that, then like I am basically sentencing my marriage, right? Saying it's over. And I was terrified to do that, because that's a big leap into a lot of uncertainty. But what it did end up doing was creating like this awareness of like what it is that I want to create, which then I could be like, oh, well, that's not it. And it wasn't my responsibility or even at all within my control to have him meet any of that. It had nothing to do with him in reality. It had everything to do with me and what I was going to tolerate and what I was going to call in and what I wasn't. And so anyways, we carry on, we get divorced. I decide going out of this, it's probably about a year between this list and the divorce kind of becoming finalized, maybe even a year and a half. I'm not interested in a relationship after I get out of this. I'm like, listen, I am not mothering another man. I'm not doing it. I don't have the bandwidth. I had 3 young boys. I'm like, I'm going to focus on making sure these 3 turn out to be, good, solid, kind-hearted men who don't contort themselves, right? This was part of my realization, like, holy shit, I can't stay here and continue doing this. And I'm teaching my kids some pretty questionable things about how to create a life that is actually good for them. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing it. I don't even want a relationship. I'm going to focus on my kids. Well, guess what happened? As soon as I was like, no, I actually don't want it, I stepped away from desiring it. I stepped away from like this, like longing and wanting. And poof, I'm literally running a marathon. The divorce is not even final. Like my house that we had together finally sold. And there was like, kind of like this, like opening, this expansion, this spaciousness. But I was like, I don't want a relationship. But listen, okay, honest moment. Your girl was a little horny. So I wasn't looking for absolutely nothing. And I wanted to connect with people and just get out. And I wanted to create some of those experiences for myself, not just the sex, but, create the connection and just meeting people and going and doing things that I wanted to do, because it was helping me figure out who I was and what I wanted for myself. And then I'm out running a marathon this weekend that the house sold, and there's a spaciousness, and I meet my current partner while I'm not looking, while I'm not even wanting at all. I was like, fuck no. Like, no, thank you. And he's like the kindest, gentlest person who, like, I'm looking back at this list. I still have it on my phone. I'm like, oh shit, like he's every one of these things in my list.
Yep.
Now, I have not figured out, in full disclosure, how to not want money. I'm working on it. I really am trying to like get Delulu enough to not want the money. But in that case, I feel like the main thing with the not wanting something outside of myself was I was focusing on creating it for myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the external. So I guess if we apply this to the money too, it's not about the money. It's about creating those states that ultimately I'm after of the adventure, or the feeling of aliveness, the feeling of love, the feeling of wholeness and awe and wonder and just the fucking magic. And it's not out there.
Yeah.
This is the most important piece. If you're going to take anything away from this conversation, it's not out there. That love, peace, joy, happiness, it's in you. You are the magic. And I know that the gurus and the healers and the coaches and the personal development, blah, blah, blah people are not going to tell you that, because they want to be your answer, your solution, the one who tells you to find it all. As someone, I call myself a mentor because, and of course, like I love to share my stories and all of these things. I don't have the answers. I have my answers. I have some guidance for sure to offer from my experience. But you're the one with your answers. And so when you stop seeking out there the next guru to tell you what the answer is, or the next business coach to tell you what the next move is, you're outsourcing again. You're stepping back into separation and lack and desire and wanting, instead of sitting in the wholeness that you are, instead of allowing the magic that you truly already are to just flow from you. And so, you know, like I said, like, I don't know, like maybe my message is not going to land, because people have been sold the story that there's something wrong and broken and needs fixing for so long that we all believe it, right? When we encounter something, an undesired state, we'll say, we're like, that's something wrong with me and I need a solution. So we set about looking for the solution. Oh, where's that happiness? Where's that? What's that thing that I can do to bring myself happiness? And it's all a distraction from the reality that you're already that.
Yep. Christy, I feel like we could geek out on this subject all day long. Like, there's so many pieces in what you're saying that connect directly to the work that Calvin and I do with women, with couples, because getting the relationship that we want is the same path that you're talking about,
right? It's the inner work.
It is.
You know?
And it's the way that we like take our power back within ourselves to consciously create that which we desire and influence what happens next, because of who we be.
Yep.
Right? Because of who we be. Because I had a story very similar to yours in my beginning relationship with Cal, where I was focused on him as the problem, realized I was the common denominator.
Whoops.
Took back my own power and focused on creating what I desired to create.
Yeah.
And then everything changed, right? So another piece of this that I think is often missing from all of the personal development conversations is that to fuel our pursuit of achievement, right? Those desires, which, by the way, are, like, as you mentioned at the very beginning of our conversation, are very human and are very like beautiful to have, because this is
a compass
to expand, right?
They're a compass, and like show us where we can go to feel even more incredible.
Yes. Yeah. Like, let's not just stop. Let's just keep getting better and better and better. It's having a more and more and more fabulous, extraordinary life. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And And, your story about like the excitement, the adrenaline, planning for a trip, like that reminds me, like the joy is in the journey, not the
Yes,
destination. It's like,
exactly.
so the life of creation that comes from, okay, we've reached this desire. Now I want to create that. Like we can be present and enjoy, please be present and enjoy your vacation, right? That you were excited about. And then let it be okay that there's something more, a next level that you're trying to get to. And to fuel that, we need energy. We need inspiration.
Yeah.
We need the excitement. And that happens from this internal shift in our own state of being, which is why, like in the work that I do, Christy, one of the key pieces that we teach is to prioritize our powerful states. Like we need to make it a priority in our lives to reconnect with who we really are.
Yeah.
And our joy and our love. Because from that state, we get the energy, the inspiration, the clarity, the creativity, the magic and miracles of the universe channel through us a lot more when we are in those, those frequencies, that resonance.
And not so like attached, right? And this is, I think, the piece, in that last story where I said I didn't want it. Obviously, I did want it. A part of me wanted it. I made that list. Okay. So that's not that I was like, I absolutely never want that. And I want something completely opposite. It wasn't that, but it wasn't like longing for it.
Right.
Right. I wasn't attached to that outcome coming in a specific way, in a specific timeline, and trying to control all of those external things. And instead, I focused my energy on, control is not the right word, but shifting on where my power lied and the things that I actually could exert my control, quote unquote, on control over, right? The things I could actually change.
Yeah. It's a whole other way of moving through every aspect of our life. And there's so much freedom. There's so much more possibility, and a greater level of ease.
Oh yeah.
And fulfillment that comes when we are in that place of power and alignment with the truth of ourselves.
So good.
Good.
The easy relationships that you didn't know were possible. Start happening. Like my partner and I, now we've been together 8 years. We have not had a fight.
That's incredible.
Like we disagree. So don't be thinking like, anybody's, not saying their piece, but we just converse about things. I know this is a wild, crazy concept for me, coming from where I had with my previous relationship, to think we can actually have a really peaceful, respectful, deep, difficult conflict, even and being on the same team. Like that was one of the things that I set as an intention. And then when you set that as an intention, right? When you decide this is what I want to create as a conscious creator being, you show up as that.
Yes.
Right?
That's it.
If you
show up as that.
Focused on something else, if you're focused on like, oh, I don't want to have arguments, you are honestly focusing on arguments, right? You show up kind of expecting an argument. And then the first thing that maybe even slightly feels like an argument, you're like, oh, here we go, right? Because you're focused on that. And so when you shift to what you want to create, the outcomes that you desire to create in any area of life, it does flow to you more easily because you are already showing up as that. And then the world is mirroring back, reflecting back to you what's actually inside of you.
Oh, this is such a great conversation. Okay. So where, before I let you go, Christy, where can people go to hear more from you, to learn more from you, to connect with you? Because clearly you've got some important shit figured out. And the way that you share about it just makes so much sense. Let's tell our listeners where they can get more.
Yeah. So a couple of resources that I have. Number one is my podcast, which is called Create Your Happy. It is all about consciously creating the life and love that you truly deserve. And I've got about 5 or 6 seasons worth, about 150 episodes worth. So I'm very much like about the practical steps. So I think, I'm not sure about every single episode, but probably close to every single episode has some kind of practical thing that you can start to do, that you can answer that question of like, okay, well, that's nice, but like, how? how do I actually achieve this thing? Like, that's nice, Christy, but like, how do I make that actually happen? That's where you're going to find some of those practical action steps that you can implement today. So you can start creating that internal state.
Yeah.
And then if you're interested in this path of creating this lovely, loving, accepting relationship with someone else, it starts with you. And so my book, Love Unstuck, is genuinely about discovering who you are, really focusing on what makes you, and how to navigate who you are in the context of creating conscious relationships with other people. And again, everything's a relationship. So you can apply a lot of what I've written in Love Unstuck to your relationship with money, your relationship with your children, your in-laws, your coworkers, your boss, whoever. It's truly not about them.
Yes.
It's you.
I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again so very much. There's been just so much gold dropped in this conversation, and life-changing stuff when you really start to get this, when you really start to practice it. And yes, this is just a taste. There's more to go deeper. So visit Christy's podcast, pick up her book, stay plugged into these catalyst conversations, and you will go deeper, and your life will change. So thank you again so much, Christy. I'm going to put you backstage while I wrap up our conversation today. But it has been such a joy to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Mwah, mwah.
Y'all, if this episode meant something to you, if you got something from it, and I imagine you did, can you do something for us right now? Subscribe to the Relationship Revolutionary podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us a review. Share this episode with one other woman who you think may need to hear Christy's message today. See, your word of mouth and your feedback on the podcast, that's what helps get these conversations into rooms that Christy and I could never get into without you. And that matters. You matter. And so I thank you for that. Now, if you want to help us activate and accelerate the global movement of revolutionizing relationships, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Share about our work wherever you can. Attend our events. And of course, do your part to keep leading with love. If you're looking for support for yourself and your relationships, please reach out. There are numerous ways that we can support you in powerful love, and I would be honored to walk alongside you on that journey. I'm going to tell you about 2 spaces that I've created very quickly. First is the Relationship Revolution community. This is where powerful women and the partners who love them, if they are so inclined, come to learn how to lead love differently, with truth, with courage, with support. It's where we take the learning we're doing in these catalyst conversations and move it into an embodied practice. So you're getting weekly activations, monthly coaching calls, community support, opportunities to ask questions, behind the scenes look at our relationship, Cal and my relationship and how we apply it, additional exclusives, trainings, and resources. It is an amazing opportunity for only $147 a month. You can cancel anytime if it's not meeting your needs. There's nothing to lose. I hope you come try it out. The other thing I want to share is that I am hosting a bi-weekly masterclass now for women who want to be more fulfilled in their relationship. So the masterclass is called How to Get Your Partner to Finally Start Showing Up the Way You've Been Asking Without Burning Yourself Out, Trying to Make It Happen. It's a long title, but I think every word matters in it. But essentially, I want to show you exactly the powerful shifts that you can make that are going to start creating change in the dynamics of your relationship. Because as we talked about today, you don't need your partner to be different or to do something different, to be engaged in this process for things to change. When you change, you create a ripple effect in your system that is going to influence and affect the world around you, including your relationship. And I want to show you